All right, since we're talking about ecosystems, it's time to do a review of bioenergetics and how organisms are going to obtain and use energy is important in an ecosystem as we talk about food chains and food webs, and we give some different names and terminology. So let's just try to brainstorm like what cells are going to need energy for. So think about that for a few seconds. What would a cell need energy for? So I'm going to reveal a list of a few things. So cells are going to need energy to transport things inside of the cell, for cells to move, make larger molecules, grow, repair, reproduce, maintain homeostasis, carry out chemical reactions, make muscles work. So those are just a few of the things that students have come up with what cells need energy for. And imagine if cells don't have energy, they will stop working. And if cells stop working, that's going to lead to cell death. So a review of any chemical reaction you are going to see. So you have this number beforehand. This is a chemical equation, by the way. So you have a number beforehand. That means you have two of, and this is an element symbol, 2 magnesium plus oxygen. Subscript here was going to tell you have 2 of those oxygens. And this yield, this arrow is a yield. That means it's going to produce 2, and these are combined magnesium oxygens. Okay, so on the left of the arrow, it's the reactants. The arrow is going to point to the products. So this is just a simple food chain. All of our energy is going to start with the sun. So this is where everything kind of starts. And you notice these arrows are going to be pointing to the next organism that's going to reap the benefits of that energy. So all of it starts with the sun, air, water, soil. And a producer is the first level of a food chain or food pyramid, anything. The producer is at the base. And it's going to have the largest amount. Anything that eats those producers are called consumers. In this case, these consumers that are eating producers are called herbivores because they're eating plants. And then a consumer that eats a consumer is an omnivore. Could either eat plants or animals. And then a consumer that eats a consumer only eats that a consumer is a carnivore. And then the next level is a detritivore. These are organisms that are going to break down dead and decaying waste. So you're going to notice then you have earthworms, insects, some birds, mushrooms, fungi. They're going to be decomposers. So they're not eating this live wolf or squirrel. They're eating them after they've died and decayed, and they're breaking that down to return all the way back. So while this looks like a food chain or a pyramid, it's really a cycle of all of these different substances. So what role does photosynthesis and cellular respiration play? Well, auto means self. So auto is self. And hetero is going to be other. And then this term troph is feeding. So autotroph is something that is self-feeding. A heterotroph is an other feeder. So we already mentioned that everything starts here with the sun. Everything starts with the sun, and that's our light energy source that's going to make photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is going to be the sun, and it's going to help these autotrophs capture the sunlight and make organic molecules like glucose. And then you have an organism over here that is a heterotroph that's going to ingest anything that has been made from the sun. It's going to take in those organic molecules and it's going to convert it into energy that the cells can use. So autotroph can make its own organic molecules, and a heterotroph has to ingest organic molecules. So photosynthesis, just again a review of this terminology. Photo means light, and synthesis means to build. Okay, so using sunlight's energy to build, and this is the equation for photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide plus water using sunlight energy, capturing it with chlorophyll, is going to produce sugar, which is glucose, and oxygen. Chloroplast is also known as a plastid, and it is only found in plant cells. The other process that we've learned about energetics is that sometimes glucose is too large of an energy source for a cell to use. So glucose and oxygen are broken down, so you see the yields, into carbon dioxide, water, and the energy that the cell can use, which is ATP. So we will spend a little bit more time talking about ATP over in one of the next lessons. But mitochondria are found in plant and in animal cells. Okay, so all cells need ATP for energy. So just a quick review of ATP. It is adenosine triphosphate, and it gets this triphosphate because it has these 3 phosphate groups. 1, 2, 3 phosphate groups. Here's the adenine, the ribose, and the 3 phosphate. So it's a nucleotide, just like DNA and RNA that we had talked about, except its role in cell is to power cellular work. It's going to break one of these phosphates off, and when it does, it releases energy. And it's kind of like a rechargeable battery because once that phosphate's added back on, it has a new energy source. So this is a great diagram that shows the process of, starting here, sunlight, converting using the chloroplast to create oxygen and glucose, goes into a mitochondria to release chemical energy and also releases water and CO2 that's going to be kind of needed again. And this process then just kind of shows how these products of one become the reactants of the other process. I hope that information is helpful to review bioenergetics.